try this now. You hear me? Can people hear me now? Can you hear me when I'm talking right now? Vocês podem me ouvir? Talking, working with this. O microfone está funcionando? Então, primeiro, nossa, que gambiarra. Então, primeiro, para vocês, se vocês puderem postar o link para este live aqui, vocês podem ver até no site do Patreon, seria ótimo. Tá? Beleza. Então, primeiro, foi muito legal estar aqui e ver todos vocês teclando de vários. Então, de mapa presente quando eu fiz a apresentação pelo meu doutorado, um grande mapa que é muito isso eu vou postar, não de vocabulário, pins, de onde vocês são. Então, tô vendo comentários agora, muito legal. Segundo, muito obrigado, amigos. Eu tô terminando a edição do meu doutorado, o meu tese, e aí vou poder pausar na verdade. Mas eu descobri uma paixão um pouco mais tarde na minha vida. Eu imagino que a vida vai mudar várias vezes no futuro também, mas por hora é exatamente isso que eu gostaria de continuar a fazer. Obrigadão, valeu, e não vejo a hora de continuar a fazer mais conteúdo e ajudar muito, sabe? E para eu é um bom, para mim é boa troca, né? Porque eu recebo ajuda com português e é sempre legal fazer a edição de eu falando, né? Eu percebo vários erros que eu faço, etc. Então, I think I am going to start speaking in English right now. I see that one of you said that the feed is cutting out a lot, so I hope that you can still hear me. But I asked you to come with questions and to ask me certain things, maybe grammar things that I can explain, or things about my life. And we will go for about an hour talking about all of this. And as we continue to do these lives in the future, I will have questions that I did not answer in previous live sessions. So I will be able to respond to all of those as well. Very quickly though, I need to check to make sure that my video is correct, because it sounds like some of you are having difficulties with my video speed. So let me check that really quickly, and then we will get started. So please post your questions after that. Checking. Everything looks okay. Okay. Well, please let me know if something goes wrong, but this is good. So the first question is from, I am going to completely mess up these names, but Sadalo Anderi Neto. First question, where's the missus? I love it. She's working today, actually. So my wife, Lauren, is a nurse, and she works 12-hour shifts 3 times a week. So that's actually only about 36 hours. But for nurses here in the United States, that's fairly common. And I'm not sure how it is in Brazil, but typically it's a 40-hour work week. And for nurses, 36 hours counts as a work week. Daniela Paiva, hello Gavin, how do you say eu já fiz 2 cursos de inglês in English? I would say take. I already took 2 English courses. I think I know fazer, the difference between make and do, is often difficult, but in this case, it's a completely different translation. I think it would be, I took 2 English courses. Natan Pereira, fala garoto. Hey Gavin, what's the difference between be and stay for estar in Portuguese? Primeiro, first, BTW, BTW em inglês quer dizer by the way, a propósito. Não quer dizer between. Então, tenha cuidado, be careful. What's the difference between be and stay for estar in Portuguese? I actually don't understand your question, so maybe rephrase that. Mirani Cordeiro, I recognize your name, I think. You have so much passion for Portuguese. Where did this come from? First of all, where did this come from is how I would say it. And I'll tell a little bit of my story, maybe the 2-minute version of my story. So Americans don't have to take many language courses when they're in high school. I took 4 years of Spanish, and when I went to university when I was 18, I only had to take 1 more Spanish class, 1 semester, and I was done. But I took a class with this woman from Colombia, and she was awesome, and she inspired me to continue learning Spanish as a language, and I ended up graduating with a degree in Spanish and atmospheric science. So I always say that when you learn your first language besides your native language, you are learning both the language and also how to learn the language. So in the case of Spanish, I was learning Spanish, but also how to learn any language. And by the time I got here to Colorado to start my graduate school at pós-graduação, I had a little bit of extra free time. And so I decided I wanted to learn a language. And because Portuguese is so similar to Spanish, and because there are so many Portuguese speakers in the world, I decided that I should learn Portuguese. And some resources existed at the time for native English or Spanish who want to learn Portuguese. I didn't have to start with Portuguese. So that was, and as I learned Portuguese, I learned more about the culture of Brazil, the music, the food, and love, which motivated me to continue to want to learn Portuguese. And especially now with the YouTube channel, which started only last year, I'm even more motivated to continue perfecting that. So that's where I am right now. It wasn't, a lot of my American friends, or the American friends I know who have been learning Portuguese, for example, Brian from his channel, Brian Roxbury, is an example of someone who learned Portuguese because he was met a Brazilian girl. It was kind of, but it's one of the best, if not the best, random thing that's ever happened to me. So yeah. Lucas Lonely Oficial, which countries have I been to? Let's see. With my family, we took one when I was young, and we went to England. And so that was the only trip I've been on with my family, besides Canada. I grew up very close to Canada, very close to Niagara Falls, Catarata. hometown. And besides that, I did an exchange when I was young to Denmark, Dinamarca, with a host for a month, and a different country to see what it was like. And I've been to, my wife Lauren in college studied in Germany. She studied abroad there for 5 months, and I was dating her for 5 months at the time, and so I flew over and visited her in Germany. And then after that, I've been to South America 3 times. So the first time was right after I graduated from college. I went to Peru to work on my Spanish because it was still kind of bad, and so I perfected my Spanish there. And then I went to Brazil for the World Cup and also Argentina. And then this year I went to Brazil. So those are the best countries I've been to. Oh, and one other trip I took too was in atmospheric science school. We had a trip to launch weather balloons to measure things in the upper atmosphere. And I traveled to Malaysia and Indonesia to launch these weather balloons for a month. So that was really fun. Sadalio Anderi Neto. I already messed up your name. Sorry, dude. Ariane Marques, what's the difference between make and do? Nossa, isso é vídeo completamente, that's a completely separate video. I want to do a video of about maybe 8 to 12 minutes talking about that. I have a notebook here. I'm gonna write down some of your suggestions here for videos. I can't take all the time to present it here, and I wanna make sure that the sentences and examples I provide are good ones that will help you. So I will make sure that that is a video that I do, hopefully in the next couple months. I have that written down that I've been needing to do that video, so that'll be good. How can, programa aí, how can I say torcer para time em inglês? Na verdade, the verb is to root, and I'll type it in here. So, to root for a team. And actually, I'm glad that you asked this, because when we talk about which teams I root for, I'm wearing this hat today, which is the hat for the Cleveland Indians baseball team. And it's the end of the baseball season in the United States. Baseball is my favorite sport. I'm from Cleveland. The Indians are my favorite sports team of any sports team. And just today, we advanced in the playoffs to go to the World Series. And whoever wins the World Series is the champion. So this is the first time since I was very little since this happened. So I'm very excited. And actually, some of you may have seen, I posted on my Facebook page about the first Brazilian baseball player who plays for the Cleveland Indians. His name is Yan Gomes, and he's from São Paulo. I forget which neighborhood of São Paulo. Someone told me, but he moved to Miami with his family when he was young, and that's why he started playing baseball, because obviously baseball isn't all that popular in Brazil. But now there's maybe 4 or 5 baseball players in Major League Baseball. It'd be really interesting to make a baseball video in the future, but the rules are so complicated, and most of you would probably find it boring. Although most Americans say that they think soccer is more boring than baseball. So I don't know. It depends on what you grow up with, right? Answer more questions. I want to show you guys. So I'm actually not in my apartment right now. I'm in a building, and I'll introduce some of you to. He also speaks a little Portuguese. Because he has a great view of my town from his window. And you can see the, that's kind of the center of the town there. This is north, this is south. The sun's kind of setting over here. The mountains are not, whoop, over here. Line, if you can see that in Fort Collins, the max line, it just runs a route from north to south. It's nothing like the public transit that we saw when connection broke, so I want to make sure that it's still okay. Is the connection working still? Can someone give me a thumbs up or down? Is it working now? Let's see if I can. I'm going to try to move it over here. How's that? I think the internet connection was a little iffy over there. Is this better? Worse? Okay, so I'll probably stay here for the rest of the time. Going back up to some of these questions here. So in Brazil, it's common to work 40 hours as well. Rivamar Nascimento, what exactly were the guys in Argentina talking about in Portuguese, thinking that you did not know Portuguese? Oh, my face is dark, huh? Let's try this. Okay. I related a story at the library at the presentation that I did the other day about when I was in Argentina. Brazilians, we ran into some Brazilians, since we were Americans speaking English, that we couldn't speak Portuguese. And so I tried to listen to what they were saying, and I couldn't really hear what they were saying, but they were wearing their Brazil shirts, and they were kind of like, you could tell that they were laughing at us, making fun of us. And I don't know, I wish that I would have heard what they said, but later on the next time that I could speak our friends, and so it was a good situation. I'm just picking randomly here. People are talking about Brian and Michele. I definitely want to have them on another future live that I'm going to have here. And in addition to being me talking to you guys in the future, I want to have friends. I want to be in special places. And of course, I will have a better connection, and I will know what I'm doing a little better than next time. It's fun to introduce you to more people and to more places with these lives that I continue doing. So this may be my only one that I do. Perhaps that's just me, but we'll see. My impressions, elections night. And the elections are my thing to talk about. So I don't even know if I will be voting for one of the two candidates. I'll probably choose a third party candidate, but debates tonight, it makes my heart sick to watch it, to be honest. And I would prefer to just enjoy life, talk with you guys, read, watch sports. I don't know. I heard that there's there's a Palmeiras game and there's a Corinthians game right now, and several other football, soccer games. going on in Brazil. So if you're watching this and missing the soccer game, nossa, obrigado. And if you're missing this stream, I totally understand why. So don't worry. Someone said, speaking of soccer, that you can say cheer for Flamengo or support Botafogo, say torcer, but here in the United States, to root for. To root. I am very interested in learning the Portugal accent. And I don't know when I'll have the chance, but before to, if I ever do, in the next years. That's that. Mateus Medeiros, how do you pronounce the word anti? I've always seen it pronounced two different ways, anti and anti. I guess you can pronounce them both ways. When I see it alone, I'm gonna say like anti is the most common one. Luma prazeres. Thank you for the opportunity to practice our listening skill. No problem. I really hope that the connection is okay right now for you guys. And Luma's question is, what's your favorite Brazilian song? Nossa. I have a lot of favorite songs. One of my favorite songs, right, is our second to last album of Legião Urbana. And I don't know, I just love it for some reason. What is my favorite Brazilian song? Gosh, with all my favorite Brazilian songs, those were, on my iPod, I have probably like 200 or 300 or so, but I want to continue growing that. I also was listening to some Brazilian rap the other day, which is new for me, and I want to start watching that. So. Okay, I'm looking at connection. So it looks like the connection is Sid. I'm skipping down a little bit now. Elder Carvalho. Hey, Gavin, do you think someone can become fluent in Brazil with YouTube or with online courses? I think so. I've spent, before I was in Brazil this year, I was in for 6 days, and I reached, honestly, it was 85, 80, not fluent before, we can go lower, 70% to Brazil. Could have continued to get to Portuguese that I'm at fluent. Brazil helped internet now go to access on TV or to work with online teachers. Most of you know that, and I receive money from them, that I have this partnership. I really do use it to speak with Brazilians and help me with my Portuguese, in addition to the conversation partners and friends that I already have in Brazil who I Skype with. And so this can help anyone, honestly. But yeah, the internet's fantastic. I think, Elder Carvalho, to answer your question though, I think the bigger question is, what is fluency? And in my opinion, I think fluency is being able to hold a conversation without either party feeling awkward. So even if your vocabulary isn't perfect, at least you can maintain a conversation and say, I didn't understand that, or sorry, I'm learning, can you explain that more? To be able to express yourself that way, I think is fluency. What's not fluency is to just freeze and say, no, and not speak. So, yes. Okay, this is a very good question from Ribamar Nascimento. His parents are very friendly. Your dad said "opa" in the end of the interview. Why? So Ribamar is talking about the video that I posted, the SmallTalk video series that I'm going to start. The first video in this series was with my parents, abraço, at the end of the film, right under the video. And my dad said, because I was home with my parents for the week previously, in English, I've started to use the word opa because I think it's perfect. The translation, if you had to ask, would be whoa. But I think opa expresses even more sentiments, more feelings than our word whoa. You know, I'll say it when someone makes a good catch playing American football, or I'll say it when I'm surprised, or when someone did something good, when someone did something bad. And my family was starting to get annoyed because I said opa so much. But that's why at the end of the video, he jokingly said opa because I had said it so much. So thank you for asking that question. That's a funny one. Sandalo Andere Neto, I'll try it again. Acho que ele não tá lendo aqui embaixo. Tô lendo agora, né? I'm catching up. Let's see. The dark spot was the best. The light spot was the best. Oh no, you guys say that it's a bad connection still. Good, bad, we'll see. We'll keep going though. What time is it? 5:40. It's 9:40 there. Horário de verão, né? So Gabriel Neves Ferreira Martins. Hey Gavin, big fan of yours. Thanks. How did you decide to start this channel? So actually, let me get a little bit of water and then I will tell you, because that's also a funny story. Oh, can I turn on the lights here? Okay, my friend Michael's turning on the lights here too to hopefully make it a little brighter. Let's see. So I was going to talk about how I started the channel. So back in January of 2015, I had been to the World Cup in 2014, and before this certain night in January of 2015, I didn't really watch YouTube. And all of a sudden on this one night, I started watching a couple videos in Portuguese. I forget who I watched, but I saw a video of an American with the headline, foi algo tipo, americano fala português incrivelmente, algo assim. And so I was like, wow, an American speaks Portuguese, just like me, that's cool. So I clicked to watch the video, and he was terrible. He stumbled through sentences, his vocabulary was bad, he didn't conjugate words correctly, and I was thinking, poxa, well, I could do better than that. Like, I should just upload a video right here, create a YouTube channel, and see what happens. The guy's video that I saw, and I won't tell you which YouTuber it was, it had like 80,000 views. And I was thinking, if he can do this on YouTube and be successful, so can I. So I got out my laptop, and that first night, if you look, the very first video on the channel is me talking about, o título é Um Americano Fala sobre a Experiência Incrível de Aprender Português, né? Título que chama a atenção, that draws attention. Se chama clickbait in English, a clickbait title. I'll write it so that you can see it. And that video got popular, and by May and June, Brazilians mostly, were saying, you should start offering English tips. And I bet if you go on that video and see some of the first comments, some of the very first comments there that asked me to give English tips were the motivation to start the channel. And so that was only about a year ago. The channel didn't make any money until like August. I originally thought the channel, when I created Small Advantages, would be for Americans who are learning Portuguese, and I could get so many Brazilians were watching the channel and watching the first one or two that I created, that they started to use. But we won't talk about that right now. They would be hosting like 100, but they're great. I love them. And Ohio, by the way, is where I'm from, is a state that's worth visiting, in my opinion, although I'm biased. So. Okay. Arthur Ronaldo, the pronunciation in Portuguese. In English, I would say Arthur Ronald. Arthur. Can we practice TH, like Arthur? Tough, thorough, thought. The last is the only word sou de tecnologia. Eu gosto de ler, eu gosto de estar no e eu não sou tão para o Oeste, tudo isso com YouTube ou com fazer lives, né? To figure out on my computer what I need to do. É todo novinho para mim. Então, eu estou aprendendo e eu agradeço. Let's see. When I was starting Portuguese here or street and oh, what say something to him? What can I say? What can I make? I think native English speakers are a little less receptive English than Brazilians are receptive to people learning Portuguese, but people still speaking. And dude, you probably hearing me say it, but I really recommend trying to find a language partner on conversationexchange.com. italki. Like, honestly, it is the single biggest thing. Portuguese, especially. So, but yeah, stopping that fear of speaking. Pedro Silva Prado, Gavin, when he took the career, and fazer vídeo sobre aí nessa frase em inglês. They were supportive. They've always done, and like most isn't. And I'm realizing this: life isn't a straight line. You know, like here I am now, but they now it's completely dead. It looks like. Oh. I'm gonna try turning it around over here. I should have started this from the beginning. Okay. If this is working, give me a thumbs up, and we'll try to go for another 15 minutes here. Guys, I'm really sorry. This is definitely yikes. But I just plugged in with an Ethernet cable, and so maybe that's going to help because perhaps Wi-Fi was a little weak, and I'm getting a lot of thumbs up. So awesome. Okay, I'm going to go through some of these questions now, and hopefully we'll stay on for another maybe 20 minutes. And again, next time I promise that I will have everything worked out. So I appreciate your patience. Eu não sou de tecnologia, né? So I'm working. Nossa, tantas joinhas. Então, what is my favorite Brazilian movie is what Jessica Santos asks. I really liked the movie Orfeo Negro. Black Orpheus, I think it would be in English. But I watched that movie. That was my first Brazilian movie that I watched without subtitles, sem legenda. And I love the imagery and the film quality, the picture. I just loved it. So that's my favorite Brazilian movie. I've also seen Meu Passado Me Condena with Fábio Porchat. I like that one a lot. O Alto da Compadecida, eu gostei. O sotaque para mim foi pouco difícil, claro, mas gostei. Que mais? Cidade de Deus, but that I had to use subtitles for that. That was almost impossible. So now I'm reading more comments about how the connection is bad, but I'm catching up. Blue Man. Okay. Okay, and I think I'm caught up now. Alan Borges, I did answer your question. The connection was terrible. I'm really sorry. So I think it is possible to become fluent when you're not in that country, but it depends what your definition of fluency is. So I think fluency is fluency is being able to interact with someone in a way that is not awkward. Okay, so even if you have to say, I'm sorry, I didn't understand what you said, could you explain that more? You know, something like that. I still don't consider that awkward. That's a normal thing to have to do. But fluency is not when you don't understand something and freeze and become worried, or you just don't understand anything at all. Obviously, that's not fluency. So, of course, my Portuguese isn't perfect, but I'm able to communicate in a non-awkward way with a native speaker. And so, therefore, I think I'm fluent. In terms of being outside of your target language country, I absolutely think it's possible. The internet's an amazing place, you know, and you can find conversation partners or videos or podcasts to help with that. So now more than ever, I think it's possible. And before going to Brazil, I would consider myself like 50-60% fluent, even before setting foot in the country for the first time. So it's possible. E, gente, só tô lendo agora os comentários no fim. Então, se eu esqueci comentário, por favor, escreve de novo. Don't worry, Rodrigo Caldas. Don't worry, we're used to it. In Brazil, it's very common, this kind of problem about the connection. Well, yep. Thanks for understanding. I appreciate it. Rodrigo Caldas, again, no. Paulo Gabriel Marques, Gavin, what's your favorite Brazilian foods? So brigadeiro is one of my favorite. I've never seen it anywhere except for Brazil. Pão de queijo, claro. Moqueca. Que mais? O pizza de São Paulo. Nossa, adorei. Coxinha. You don't see it in here in the United States, so that's an awesome thing. Maracujá, oh my gosh, I miss that fruit so much. And you really, truly cannot buy maracujá, at least here in Colorado. I've never seen it. I've seen a lot of other Brazilian things and in a Brazilian supermarket, but never maracujá. Ludmila, nossa, Oliveira da Silva. Assistiu Tropa de Elite? Não, já ouvi falar. I've already heard about that movie, but I've never actually seen it, so I'll have to add it to my list of movies to see. RoboCop, in Portuguese. I didn't know that was a Brazilian director. Oh, I talked about music a little bit before, and RoboCop reminds me of Robocop Gay, né, de Mamonas Assassinas. I thought that their album was very funny. Mundo Animal was probably my favorite song, but holy cow, I think I'd have to compare them to certain American bands. I'll have to think about that, but nothing really like that exists in American culture, so that was cool and sad to hear what happened with them 20 years ago, you know. Let's see. Kai Yamamoto, that's the question, to see the Palmeiras or the Class. Yeah, I totally understand you. If my favorite team were playing right now, I would watch my team and probably not a language course. So I really respect and thank you for watching this. Ibamar Nascimento, have you already spoken Portuguese unintentionally with someone or dreamed in Portuguese? Yes, I have. My Portuguese dreams are mostly me trying to impress a Brazilian that I just met that I speak Portuguese and that they didn't realize it, you know. But so they're not like super cool dreams, but I talk in my sleep a lot. And Lauren, about a month ago, said that I spoke Portuguese in my sleep and that she understood it. And I said, what did I say? She said, tudo bem. That was it. That was the only thing I said. So dreaming and talking in Portuguese, but obviously English is way, way more common. The cable was the secret. Yes, now the connection's great, so this is good. Natan Pereira, do you want to live in Brazil? I would love that. Maybe not for years at a time, but hell, like 2 or 3 months at a time, or a long, you know, maybe 2 years solo. The problem is that for Lauren, she only speaks English, and she's not really a language person. She thinks they're okay. She doesn't hate them, but she doesn't want to necessarily need to learn a new language. And for her job as a nurse, it would be kind of difficult for her to live in a country where most people don't speak any English, and especially it would be difficult for her to work in a hospital. In Europe or other places, there are American hospitals or hospitals where English you can get by if you don't speak German, for example. In a German hospital, there are hospitals where you can just speak English as an employee, as a doctor or a nurse. But as far as I know, not in Brazil. But if any of you know of any, let me know, because I really, really would love to live in Brazil and improve my Portuguese and eat all the food that I love. Natan Pereira also asked, do I read all the books that are behind me? These are my friend Michael's. I'm at his apartment right now, and I actually think he probably does. I'll have to ask him later. But I love reading. I try to read 20 to 40 books a year. Right now, with my PhD coming to a close, I'm still finishing my final edits for my PhD. And like with the channel growing, I don't have as much time to read, but that's okay. Let's see. Rodrigo Caldas. Yeah. Would my parents host you? Nunca te pedi nada. Cara, I have many Brazilians asking me the same question. So, yeah, probably not, to be honest with you. But they're great people, and you all should visit Ohio, and specifically the city of Cleveland, which is where I'm from. I'm biased, but I really love it. Carija Souza, nossa. Holy shit, you like Mamonas Assassinas. Also, do you intend to visit other places here in Brazil in the future? I definitely do. There's a chance I may travel to Brazil for the party for Brian and Michelle's wedding next year. I don't want to talk about time or place, but in addition to that trip, I would love to visit the Nordeste of Brazil. That would be my first place I would go. So, you know, Maceió, João Pessoa, Natal, Recife, Fortaleza, tudo isso. I really want to visit there. During my time in São Paulo, have you chosen a soccer team? Yeah, I'm Corinthiano. I know a lot of you will be unhappy with that, but my first Brazilian conversation partner was Corinthiano, and he sent me the Manto Sagrado. And I don't know, I just started following them. And although actually the first Brazilian soccer jersey that I had was from Bahia, when I went there for the World Cup to Salvador in 2014. So maybe that's my real team, okay? I'm going to answer 3 more questions, and then I'm going to do the raffle. And after that, I will say I'm sorry one more time for the terrible connection at the beginning of this video, and to promise to you that everything will be better next time. But let's see, 3 more. Hildur Carvalho. Gavin, I can understand everything you say in English, but my comprehension reduces dramatically when watching movies or listening to songs. Does this happen to you in Portuguese? With movies, definitely. It's still really hard for me with movies and series sometimes without subtitles. Songs, not as much. In fact, I've been listening to some Brazilian rap recently, and I don't really have a problem necessarily with any of the lyrics. So, let's see. Pedro Silva Prado, please answer again, how was it when I changed my career? So, yeah, my parents were supportive. Life isn't a direct line from one spot to the other. I always thought it was until I discovered this new passion in all of you guys. And so that's been really magical to discover that. And my parents, my wife, Lauren, especially, has been unbelievably supportive. And some things are uncertain with money and all of that. But again, this is why I thank you all so much for you know, just a little bit of help that you're providing me. It really means so much to me. And I want to prove how much it means to me by continuing to give this content, to make this awesome content back for you. Like I said in the video, I have like probably hundreds of ideas in my head, and I just didn't have time before to put them into videos. And so now I have that time. And when my parents and family and friends see this passion that I have, I don't think they're necessarily all that worried. So it's good. Marcus Barros, difference between year and ear. I don't know. I'll say it twice more, with ano first and ouvido second, okay? Year, ear, year, ear. Acho que ano, year, é pouco mais longo e, sei lá, carregado. I don't know. Oh, Lençóis Maranhenses, Rodrigo. Yeah, that would be awesome. Biased, do I know a good translation for biased? Biased, that's a very good one. Maybe I'll add that to a future video. Off the top of my head, right now, I can't think of one. So, okay. And finally, every soccer fan in Brazil considers their team's jersey a manto sagrado. Wow, I actually did not know that. So, cool. Thank you for telling me that. Guys, I'm going to go grab the little raffle slips, and raffle, a propósito, é sortear. Vou raffle or choose who are going to be my first 2 people to Skype with, okay? And after that, we'll talk about the next live that I'm going to do. So, já já. Okay. Hey, Michael, you want to come in here and say hi and pick a raffle slip? Então, esse é o meu amigo Michael, ele é dono desse apartamento e ele fala um pouco de português porque você estava em Maceió, né?
Sim, faz 4 anos agora.
É, faz 4 anos.
Sim.
Nossa. Então, 2 americanos aqui falando em português é bem normal, né? E, gente, eu tenho todos os nomes aqui dos padrinhos de $7 desse nível. E vou colocar no boné. E aí... All right, Michael.
Okay.
Okay. And then one more.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. Tchau, gente.
Tchau. Okay. Então, I have here Guilherme Silva e Luiz Otávio Guimarães Campo. Então, vou entrar em contato com vocês. Eu tenho os e-mails de todo mundo. Mas se eles não me responderam, então eu vou escolher outra pessoa aleatoriamente e vou entrar em contato com você, né? Então, fiquem, como se diz, estejam aguardos, sei lá. Vou contatar outros de vocês caso eles não puderem, tá? So, yeah, that's it, guys. Again, I'm really sorry for the connection at the beginning. Mil desculpas. And da próxima vez, eu juro que tudo vai dar certinho. Da próxima vez, na verdade, vai ser... Eu já marquei a data em novembro. Fiquem ligados. Nossa, sabia não. Obrigado, Felipe. E sim, eu vou estar com mais 3 amigos, inclusive a minha esposa Lauren. Então, vou fazer um live com eles. Então, vai ser um inglês um pouco mais descontraído, talvez um inglês um pouco mais rápido, mas eu vou poder explicar para vocês vários trechos difíceis, sei lá, e num live mesmo. Então, vai ser muito legal e com uma conexão muito melhor. Então, gente, muito, muito obrigado mais uma vez. Desculpa mais uma vez e a gente se vê na próxima vez, tá bom? Então, tchau, tchau.